All right, good Wednesday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your Wednesday night update. First order of business is to just see where things are at right now. And I'll pull up the traffic map so you can see how things are looking out on the roads as we start tonight. I'm going to let this play for at least a minute while we get some users on, make sure my mic levels are good. Get the update from my phone here in just a second to make sure that that sound has gone through. It is very good. Good to see everybody tonight. Obviously, the main concern at this point is the fact that we've got the potential for roads to cool off pretty quickly tonight. Thinking mainly back roads, side streets, those types of surfaces. Those seem to be the areas that we're most concerned about as we go through tonight. We can clearly see that we've got some slowdowns in and around eastern Saginaw and western Tuscola. This has been, since I've gotten in this afternoon, this area right here has been the hot spot for some slowdowns. Doesn't seem like things have gotten a whole lot better there. Certainly better than they were at 5 and 6 o'clock earlier tonight, but it still seems like we're struggling in that area especially. We've also got some continued slowdowns through portions of Huron County as well as you go towards the Bad Axe area. If we zoom in just a little bit more, right along 142, 53, and 25. Seems like we've got a fair amount of slowdowns there down towards Genesee County. Not quite as many, a few what appears to be right along M21. And also a few here and there in our northern counties, but I wouldn't call these substantial by any stretch. However, it is worth noting that this traffic map is primarily main roads. It is not necessarily the side streets and back roads, and that is where I think we're going to run into most of our hazards as we go into the morning commute tomorrow. So let me just take a look at the MI Drive map. I will pop that up and just show you that we do have what appears to be, excuse me, oh man, this cold is lingering for like 2 weeks, but it appears that we've got some snow plows out tonight. These plows have been out pretty much ever since I started work this afternoon as I've checked in from time to time. We've got Whiteout, we've got Beast, we've got Saltosaurus Rex, and we've got Herbert H. Plow out on the roads tonight. And you can pull up the cameras and see what they're doing. Herbert H. Plow, the camera a little bit dark. Saltosaurus Rex looks like they're fueling up. Right, it looks like the gas station there right at the 675 exit. We've got Beast out on the roads. Looks like it's fairly clear on the roadway, but a little shiny. Perhaps trying to treat some of these icy conditions. And then there's Whiteout's camera there as well. And you've got other plows in other parts of the state. This is a really cool feature that MDOT does that you can see. And this, of course, does not include any of the plows that are not MDOT. It doesn't include some of your local plows. Looks like we've got Blaze on the map now, so it's kind of fun that you can look at some of those names. But either way, the road crews are out. I think that is going to be the biggest story as we head through tonight. If you take a look at some of the temperatures around mid-Michigan right now, we are down in the teens and also into the low 20s at this point. So things are falling fast from where we were earlier this afternoon. Now, treated roads, it's going to take a little bit longer. And if we continue to treat throughout the night, of course, that puts us in a really good position on some of those main roads into the morning hours. The concern, of course, would be how are things on those secondary roads? How are things on those side streets? And I'm taking a look at the TV5 website here just to see if we've got any closings and delays coming in for tomorrow. It looks like we've got several schools that are already calling off for Thursday. So let me pull some of these up. It might be a little bit tough to read, but this shows you the extent of the list. We've got a lot of schools in the thumb, it looks like. That seems to be where a lot of them are popping up for the time being. Reese, Owendale, North Huron, New Lothrop, of course, in Saginaw County, Millington, Kingston, Caseville, Carroll, Bad Axe, Akron, Fairgrove. So yeah, we've got mostly thumb schools at this point. We'll see how anybody else joins in tomorrow, considering some of the slower traffic. Ubley, Unionville, Sebewaing, Vassar, and Verona Mills. They're in the closures for Thursday as well. So considering where we're seeing some of the traffic troubles tonight, that seems to line up pretty well with the results that we're getting up to this point. Let me just take a look at some of the comments really quick. I'll pull that traffic map back up one more time just so you can see that while I'm looking through. Tammy, reporting the roads are slick in West Branch. Appreciate that, Tammy. Hi from Bay City, out in the Bay. Bridgeport. Appreciate that, Marcia, or Marcia. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please let me know. I've heard it pronounced both ways, so I hope I got that right. But appreciate you all the same. So yeah, we've got reports of slick roads tonight. We do have just for being thorough, we still have a winter weather advisory in Roscommon County until 11 p.m. on Thursday. That is for lake effect snow. That will continue there. That is already happening now in that region and will likely continue to happen into that region through tonight and tomorrow. So if we zoom in, we've got what appears to be some decent lake effect snow showers coming through that area. It's mostly the west side of Roscommon County. That seems to be the most favored area. So probably right along I-75 into the west. Some of it will, of course, bleed into the rest of the county, too. But expecting, I would say, at least a few inches of snow, if not close to 4 or 5. Hernando from Akron, thanks for the update. Scott, when are the winds going to calm down? I would say tomorrow. They're not too bad. It's tough for them to calm down completely this time of year. It always seems like we've at least got winds that are gusting near 20 miles per hour this time of year. But I wouldn't call them overwhelming tomorrow. And I do think they die down at least a little bit tonight. But yeah, Roscommon County, you're going to continue to see snow from time to time. And really all of us, now that we're, pull up the sky tracker, skipped ahead on me. But now that we're all sort of on the colder side of things later this week, our lakes are still open for business. I think you're going to see some occasional lake effects come through the next couple of days. It is not going to be constant for us here in the TV5 viewing area. It will be a constant thing, obviously, in the traditional lake effect snow belts, but not for us. Areas like Roscommon and Clare, Ogama occasionally. Those are our favorite areas for that. But I don't necessarily think we're going to see significant snow over most of the region the next couple of days. But the main concern tonight continues to be traffic. It continues to be school closings. Districts outside of the thumb, it's tough to say. I would imagine there's going to be at least a few. I think it really comes down to how well your roads were cleared today. Is your neighborhood looking good? Are the back roads looking good? I think our rural schools are a little bit more susceptible to closings tomorrow just because of the extent of the back roads, getting students to school in some of the longer bus routes. City schools may have a better shot to go on Thursday. We'll see what happens with that, but I would check tomorrow morning. If your school does not call off tonight, I would say tomorrow morning would probably be, it would be wise to check just to be sure. Jessica says, love the shirt. Yep. I have several Central Michigan shirts that have been repped on the chat. And to be honest with you, you wear a suit long enough during your shifts, you just want to not be in a suit for a little bit. So let's see here. In addition to the fact that we've got that winter weather advisory, do we have many more chances for snow in the next 7 days? Really not a ton. We've got some scattered chances, it seems like, through the weekend, but I wouldn't say anything terribly organized during that stretch. I think there's a possibility Friday night that we could pick up at least some minor accumulations over the area, but as far as anything that's going to reflect what we picked up Thanksgiving weekends or reflect what we picked up last night and earlier this morning, I don't see any of those chances on the horizon. Let me see if I can pull this up because I found this interesting, and I'll let the 7-day kind of speak for itself there for a moment, because we do get bitterly cold towards the weekend. Not the worst that we'll see probably this winter, but still not exactly a fun stretch. But I did look for Saginaw because Saginaw is one of our climate reporting stations, one of the official sites, and if you look at the history of December 1st through December 9th, and I know today's the 10th, right? I know today's the 10th, but you go one day ahead because the climate report for today has not come in yet. But if you take a look, let me just make sure that I pull up Saginaw. 1 second. If anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Amy, the roads should be better by Friday. Especially if you're going south. And Alicia's asking, when does it warm up to 40? Maybe next week? But if you look at this is what I'm going for. I finally pulled it up correctly. I'm going to pull this, and hopefully we can actually see this on the stream. But if you take a look here, what I'm showing you, if you can actually read it, is if you take the average temperature from all of the December 1st to December 9th on record. A lot of people have been saying this is the fastest start to winter we've had in a while. If you look at it, the pace that we're on for 2025, we are the 6th coldest December 1st through December 9th in recorded history. And so these records, if you sort them just from the beginning to the end, 1912 is the first. So that's over 100 years of records. And this year, we are the 6th coldest start to December in Saginaw. For the Flint area, let's see if anything else pops up. Looks like for Flint, we're actually the third coldest start to December on record if you go through the first 9 days in Flint. So we have gotten off to a very cold start to December. So that's, I think that's an interesting note. Mark, excuse me, didn't see the picture. Have to look. Wendy, your team did an awesome job. Appreciate you. Yeah, we felt like we did pretty well with this one. Let me pull up the snowfall totals. There were a few spots that overachieved. We talked about that last night. Didn't have a lot of confidence on where exactly to put one of these contours on the snowfall map, just because it's so localized sometimes where these bands are. But we did talk about if there were a place that we could pick where we think that could happen. I sort of drew an imaginary line on last night's stream going from about Mount Pleasant down towards the bay, and that seems like it was pretty close. Seaboing got about 7, Portsmouth Township 7.5. And keep in mind, this is just a general list of what we had gotten up to this afternoon. I do believe some of these have changed. I do think there was a report of 7 that came in for Saginaw later this afternoon. I got 5 on the west side of Saginaw. But some of these totals might have gone up just a smidge, or sometimes it really just depends on what side of town you're on. We've had many events since I've been here the last 10 years, going on 11, that you get, 7 inches for a storm on one side of Bay City, you get 4 on the other. So, but this is a good general guide. We had a 3 to 6 range. Most fell within about 4 to 6. So I feel like this one turned out pretty well. Amy, I see your question. You said Flint ? Are you asking about the roads or how much snow they got? Just need a little bit more clarification. A lot of snow in Harrison, says Diana. Yeah, decent snowfall this time around. Probably, again, not the worst one. Obviously, this is a little bit, just a little bit lighter than the one we picked up Thanksgiving weekend, but still a pretty hefty snow nonetheless. I would say a high-end advisory. Some of these areas probably got pretty darn close to low warning criteria, but a longer duration advisory certainly added up. Amy, the report I saw earlier for Flint was, I want to say it was about 2.5 inches, but I also don't know if you picked up anything additional from that point. I was pretty busy this morning clearing my own driveway, and anytime rain is involved, it's always tough. How much melted, and did you get enough accumulation to remeasure in the afternoon? So those are tricky. I'd probably say for the Flint area, 2-3 inches, but that's a very, very loose estimate. So don't take that to the bank. If we get an updated total, but Flint should have been a little bit lower than other areas because of the rain factor. Shannon, 6.5 in Hemlock. Appreciate you, Joyce. That was really nice. Wendy, a white Christmas. I would say probably one of the better chances we've had in a while. The question is, we are expecting a warm-up. How much of a warm-up? I know that's been talked a little bit about on social media a little bit, but the joke always is you guys can't get the weather right tomorrow. How are you supposed to know in a couple weeks? There is some truth to that in the longer term of forecasting. The trend is that we expect to be warmer than we have been, but the serious answer is to what degree? I think we don't know that yet. And we also have a pretty good snowpack on the ground. This is not, if we had a 1/2 inch of snow on the ground, I would say it could be close. The fact that we've got probably 6+ inches on the ground in a lot of areas from the last couple of weeks, is it going to be enough of a warm up to get rid of that much? We'll see. I'm skeptical. So anyway, that's pretty much it. The hour by hour really isn't all that exciting tonight. This feels like such a letdown from last night's stream, huh? Last night's stream was really exciting. Tonight we're just talking about colder temperatures, some occasional lake effect snow the next couple of days, primarily in Roscommon County where we have that advisory. We're not going to get terribly warm tomorrow. 20s for highs. I think your wind chills are in the teens much of the day. Northwesterly flow for the next couple of days. But I wouldn't expect any crazy accumulations for most of the region. Maybe a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch there over a couple of days. Occasionally, if you get a really good snow band, maybe a little bit more, but really beyond that, not much. So this is what we're looking at tonight. Lows are dropping to the teens, and so we got to be careful on the roads. If anyone's got any questions further than that, be happy to answer them. But I'm also going to let our 10 o'clock newscast get ready here. Some big stories across the state of Michigan today, in addition to the weather. And so a lot of preparation coming up for that. Otherwise, have a good night. Feel like my voice is giving out again, too. If anyone has a magic cure for a cold, I'll be grateful for that. But otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, or give or take. Give or take 9 o'clock. Some nights I'm trying to get this set up and it takes me a little bit longer, but we will do this again tomorrow. Appreciate you all for joining. And I suppose since somebody pointed it out, fire up chips. We'll see you tomorrow.